So we are delighted to welcome you to this second of 3 events in our spring speaker series for Duke Divinity School's Prison Studies program. We want to thank our co-sponsors for this event, the Divinity School Center for Reconciliation, the Office of Black Church Studies, the Hispanic House of Studies, as well as the university's John Hope Franklin Humanities Institute. Today, we are privileged to gather with and hear directly from Ronnie Long, who spent 44 years in prison here in North Carolina for a crime he did not commit. Ronnie Long was born in Charlotte and grew up in Concord, right outside of Charlotte. Ronnie was a well-loved member of his community. He participated in sports in school, and then after school, after graduation, began working for his father's masonry business. And then on May 10th in 1976, when Ronnie was just 20 years old, he was wrongfully taken into the custody of the state of North Carolina, where he remained until August 27th of 2020. We're honored, Ronnie, that you would share any of your time with us. After all of that, time is precious, and we know that you are now trying to enjoy life and freedom. And as we understand it, also trying to get caught up on a bunch of medical needs that were not taken care of during your wrongful incarceration. Ronnie brings with him today 2 friends, Ashley Long, his wife, and one of his pastors, the Reverend Cari Willis. Ashley is originally from the Midwest, growing up in Chicago and Iowa. During college, she decided to move south, arrived in North Carolina in 2010. And Ashley became involved in Ronnie's case in 2013 after a simple Google search, in which she began advocating for Ronnie. And in doing so, she fell in love, and they were married in August of 2014. And Ronnie was freed on Ashley's birthday, which sort of cosmic affirmation of them and their relationship. The Reverend Cari Willis, who's also with us today, is a graduate of Duke Divinity School and a longtime participant in the prison studies program here. She ministers mainly to men on death rows across the United States. She has been in some sort of prison ministry for the last 15 years. She is a spiritual director and currently a doctoral student at Campbell Divinity School, where she is studying the theme of darkness and pastoral care for her demon. We are going to spend most of our time today just hearing directly from Reverend Willis and from Ronnie and Ashley. We are going to reserve the last 10 or 15 minutes for questions directly from you all. You can use the hand raising function on Zoom for that. If it's messing up for you, also feel free to throw questions in the chat and I can pull from there as well. But let's just turn it over now. Welcome, Cari, Ronnie, Ashley, we're so glad you're here, and we'll turn this time over to you. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to take a minute and just to tell you about my remarkable friend, Ronnie Long. I was first introduced to Ronnie by one of his lawyers, Teresa Newman, who is a part of Duke's Wrongful Conviction Clinic. She told Dr. Campbell and I that Ronnie was asking theological questions, and she figured one of us would be better at answering them than her as a lawyer. That was 5.5 years ago. At first, I just wrote letters to Ronnie, and Ronnie would write back about how his life inside the prison was going, ask any questions he had, and tell me some nuance of his case that proved his innocence. You should know that remarkably, all of Ronnie's letters started with, "I give all praise to the Creator." Eventually, I would start to visit Ronnie at the prison. I would stay quiet as he would tell me about his case and its many injustices. There were so many nuances to Ronnie's case that it seemed literally endless, the depth and breadth of the facts that should have exonerated him many, many years ago. For 5 years, I prayed every single day, set him free, set Ronnie free. Eventually, Ronnie's case made it to the 4th Circuit. His case would be heard twice there, which is very rare. But his lawyer, Jamie Lau, and Ronnie's many other lawyers did a masterful job of putting together their arguments of why Ronnie should go free, or at least get another trial. I have learned over these years of listening in on oral arguments at the 4th Circuit that it can be clear beyond a shadow of a doubt that someone is innocent, but because of rules of law or procedures judges have to follow, they end up siding on the rule of law versus the truth. The first time Ronnie's case was heard at the Fourth Circuit, 2 of the 3 judges sided with the state, with those rules of law. But thankfully, Judge Thacker's dissent was so strong that Jamie was able to argue for Ronnie in front of all the judges at the Fourth Circuit, which is called en banc. During this en banc hearing, Judge Wynn said this: "The problem is we use procedural law rules and we use our own court-made rules. So to what Judge Gregory alluded to avoid justice. When did justice leave the court? So that every time we get a chance, we can figure out some legal maneuver. Do not address what every person in their heart knows. Something went amiss back then, but we have some rules that will let us just do away with this and just keep them in jail. What's the harm? It's gone on and will go on with our lives. That's the question. When did justice leave the process, such that we let our rules blind us to the realities that we all can see?" When I heard that the Fourth Circuit had ruled in Ronnie's favor, I get so emotional over those words, I sobbed uncontrollably. Ashley, Ronnie's beloved wife, who you see there, excitedly told me the news. Our prayers had finally been answered, and we would find out the next day on Ashley's birthday that Ronnie was going to go free as the state had vacated his sentence. So after 44 years of wrongful incarceration, my friend was going to go free. I sat in my house with 3 news feeds so I could see Ronnie walk out a free man and hug his wife, something he hadn't done for months because regular visitation at the prison was stopped because of COVID. Thankfully, clergy visits could still happen, so at least during those anxious moments of waiting on the courts, he could have a visit a week if I could make it. One last thing I will add is that while Ronnie was incarcerated, both of his parents died. Ronnie's mom died this past summer on the 10th of July. Thankfully, the warden approved a special visit for me so I could see Ronnie soon after, as the prison was on lockdown because of an outbreak of COVID. Ronnie told me that his mother's final words were a question: "Is Ronnie home?" I told Ronnie that I just knew that she went from life to life with that question continually in her mouth, but now she was in front of Jesus asking it: "Is Ronnie home, Jesus? Is Ronnie home?" My life has been so enriched because of my friendship with Ronnie and his wife, Ashley, too. Ronnie's faith and hope never, ever wavered. He believed to the marrow of his bones that he would go free if only the courts would listen to the truth of his case. All of our prayers were answered, especially his mother's. I also want to take a minute to introduce you to the amazing, persistent, and relentless advocate for Ronnie, his wife, Ashley. She doesn't know what the word no means. She would talk to complete strangers about Ronnie, and by this time last year, she had a worldwide audience focused on praying for Ronnie and for the judges at the Fourth Circuit. I swear her entire wardrobe said "Free Ronnie Long." See, there it is on it. Ashley, you are awesome, and I love you very, very much. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do for your husband. I will always stay in awe of you. But now let me introduce you to my remarkable friend, Ronnie Long. Ronnie, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah. First and foremost, I give praise and honor to the Creator, the most merciful, for being allowed this opportunity to tell my story. I want to excuse me because it's a very sensitive subject for me. Because of my belief, because I always felt that I was gonna one day walk away from a situation that I didn't have no business being in to start with. I've always believed that the Creator was with me. I've always had some kind of divine intervention in my life, because to be put in a situation like I was in, it would do or die. We're talking about the 70s. We're talking about being put in an institution, and North Carolina was one of the worst institutions. Central Prison. They call it the Wall, but that's getting a little ahead of myself.
Why don't you start at the beginning and talk about how you actually got convicted of the crimes you did not commit? You know, like what was going on with your life and why did they target you? Just kind of start there.
Growing up, my dad was a vice president of an organization called SCAF. SCAF means Southern Conference Educational Funds. Back then, you had organizations that worked and tried to support educational and recreational facilities in the Black communities. SCAF was an organization like October League, National Alliance Against Racial and Political Repression, Southern Struggler was the paper. The Call was the paper. I used to stand out in front of Plant 1 in Kannapolis. I'd be about 14, 15-year-old. My dad, me and my older brother, we stand out, we pass out leaflets in front of Plant 1 in Kannapolis, trying to get the workers there to unionize. So people, the police in Cabarrus County knew who my father was. They knew who my father was, and through the association with my father, they knew and learned who I was, me and my brothers. They tried to give me, I wish I could flash it up on the screen. They tried to give me a bogus assault charge on a female in 1975. I got the one. I got the one. If I say anything, I try to substantiate anything that I say. I want to be able to prove what I say. This is why people believe in my innocence, because they saw my cause, they saw my struggle, and they read my document, because I put my documents online for people to see. But that's getting ahead of myself too.
Yeah,
they give me a bogus assault warrant on a woman named Vera Miller. Says she lived at 77 Ring Street. That I assaulted this female in 1975. I ain't never assaulted a female. And any man that take his hand and beat a woman is lesser than a man. And I say that with sincerity. They give me a bogus warning in 75. Okay, so they know who I am. They know, you understand something about me. Okay, this incident that's supposed to happen with this woman was on Union Street. I was seeing a girl on Spring Street that was adjacent to Union Street.
Right.
I get stopped coming from her house at night a couple of times, wearing a black leather jacket. I used to wear leather all the time.
Right.
I used to wear leather hats, leather gloves, coats, shoes. It was a fad with me. You know, I mean, I thought I was John Shaft, for real. If anybody know who John Shaft is, ever seen the movie Shaft,
Right.
I saw Shaft, I'm sold.
That's right.
Yeah. So this was a fad with me. This is the way I dressed. So they picked me up, stopped me, 2 white cops coming out the area, tell me yesterday there had been a series of break-ins. And they take me downtown, put me in a room, leave me in the room for 2 hours, cut the air conditioning on. I sit in this room for 2 hours, don't nobody say nothing to me. They come open the door, tell me you can go. I leave. So see, it was little things that I had little brushes with the police. I was already targeted.
Right. Right.
They had 4 corrupt police officers in Cabarrus County. Sonny Vogler, David Taylor, Van Eisenhower, and Marshall Lee, Sergeant Marshall Lee. They targeted me. How you gonna take me, give me a bogus trespassing warrant in a public park? Hold up now. I did do something to get dismissed from the park. Like I say, I did teenager stuff. So I got into a physical altercation in the park. But understand, I could come out my back door, walk across the yard, jump the fence, I'm in the park. The park is adjacent to my backyard. They give me a trespassing charge for being in the park. I got suspended from all parks in Cabarrus County for 2 years. So when they see me in the park, they hit me with a trespassing warrant. So I got to be in court May the 10th. May the 10th is when the victim was supposed to ID me in court.
Right.
I'm going to stop right there, but you understand, saying there's some more that if you want to hear the rest of it, I'm going to let Reverend Willis.
No, no, keep going. That's exactly right. So you're sitting, you're in the court with your dad, right? And the victim is there. So I mean, that's a critical part of the story.
All right, watch this. They tell me I got to be in court at 9 o'clock on May the 10th. I'm in court at 9 o'clock, May the 10th, me and my dad. Not knowing that they supposed to went and got this woman, brought this woman in the courtroom. She's supposed to be in this courtroom with a disguise on. I've been sitting in court from 9 o'clock to 11:30, waiting on my case to be called. I see the 2 detectives that I had been having run-in with. They're sitting in the jury box. David Taylor, Marshall Lee. So me and my dad sitting there, we waiting on the case to be called. The woman said, and this is in document, this is in writing. She sat in the courtroom for over an hour and a half, and never recognized no one. Now she's looking for a young black man that sexually assaulted her. Look at the documents. There ain't but 12 blacks in the whole courtroom this morning. 12. You looking for a young black man. My dad, he damn near 60. So that excludes him. I got a man over here, he on crutches. That excludes him. There's an older man over here that excludes him. So the woman is looking at 8 to 9 blacks. And she's looking for this young black that assaulted her. I've been sitting there since 9 o'clock. Running along in the courtroom, I stand up, she say she recognized me. She seen the 2 police officers in the booth, in the jury box. I don't know this.
Right.
I go to the front, judge say, who took this warrant out? It was a man that was a park commissioner say, I did. He say, who saw him in the park? The two detectives sitting in the jury box say, we did. Judge say, so you two saw him in the park. You didn't, but you took the warrant out. Yeah, son, you can go. I walked out.
Right.
Prestigious, influential, wealthy, white female pillar.
That's right.
In the white community, just fingered this young black man as the man that assaulted her in her house. This is in the 70s. Son, you can go. I turn and walk out the courtroom, get in the car, go home, go to sleep. I'm at home for 2 hours. Sleep. My mama wake me up, say them police back out there, get them, I'm in front of my house. I go out to the gate, yo, man, what's up? The same two clowns that was sitting in the jury box. We need you to come downtown. They signed some papers in reference to the trespassing matter this morning. My mother and father standing right there. Do we need to go with him? No. Do he need any kind of legal assistance with him? No. It won't take no more than 15 to 20 minutes. All we need to do is sign some paper. He can either ride down with us or he can ride down. I follow the police to the police station. Nobody arrested me. The woman picked me out in the courtroom. Why didn't you arrest me then? The woman picked me out in the courtroom. Why didn't you come to my house with a warrant?
Yeah. Right.
Those 15,
right.
20 minutes,
right.
turn into 44 years.
4 years. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So talk about, so at the time of your arrest, talk about the fact that the death penalty.
Listen, instantly, simultaneously, when the community heard that they had locked me up on those type charges,
right,
it erupted. Brothers and sisters took to the street.
Yeah, yeah.
They started fighting. They started looting. They started letting the police know free Ronnie Long, because they know the community that I come up in. Bogus, man. Come on, man. You do some research on my background coming through high school. I mean,
yeah,
I was popular, just like I am now. Hey, but listen. I mean, I ain't got no problem, man. I ain't no career criminal.
mm-hmm.
I ain't got no prior convictions.
Right.
They lock me up, them brothers and sisters in the street, they demonstrate. They come to me. With a 7-year plea.
Right.
Told me if I plead guilty to first-degree burglary, first-degree rape, they'll give me 7 years, and I will be back home in 3.
Right.
If I refuse the 7 years, they're going to try me for my life. In 1976, in North Carolina, all capital offenses, arson, kidnap, rape, midnight burglary, armed robbery, murder. Got a death sentence. You could get a death sentence for setting the church on fire. Told me if I didn't plead guilty to the 7 years, they would try me for my life. My dad said, I didn't raise y'all to say you did something when you did. I rolled the dice.
Yeah.
They say you roll the dice, but the decision is left up to the Lord. You made the decision to go right or left. That's why they say man is stronger than the angel. A man is greater than the angel. Because a man have a free will to go right or left. So I rolled the dice.
Yeah.
They told me they're going to try me for my life.
Right.
In July,
yeah,
I believe it was July, the Lord, the most merciful, abolished the death sentence in the state of North Carolina. That's how I missed the death sentence.
Just by that.
Yeah. I go to court, sentenced in October. Death sentence come back in October. The death sentence is reinstated. Let me say, it might have been October, but the death sentence was reinstated in 76 in the state of North Carolina. They give me 2 life sentences. Sent me to central prison. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the court though. I mean, you know, you've always told me it was kind of a slam dunk, and talk about that for a second.
I mean, which one? Because I had a whole lot of emotions and appeals that I filed in the state of North Carolina. So, I mean, which court are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about that first, so your first court, you know, when you first were convicted, you were a young Black man.
Okay.
White, yeah.
Okay. In May 10th, 1976, now when they first put me in jail, I had never been in jail before, so I'm like, can I deal with this? You done been in situations before where you don't come out of it, you don't overcome. You got to be strong. This is a mind thing. I'm standing in the cell. Now listen, I'm standing in the cell. This is the first time I've ever been in the cell before. I'm standing in the cell and I see a filthy mattress that's gray, but it's got brown stains and tobacco all over it. The floor is filthy. It's urine in the toilet, and I'm scared to touch this. And I'm looking at it, and it's a psychological thing with me because I'm saying to myself, be strong. You got to be strong. How can I contend with being confined in a bathroom? Go home, take your mattress, put it in your bathtub, close the door and stay in there 44 years. And you can give some sort of an idea as to what it's like to be confined for something that you don't know nothing about. So it's a psychological thing. And I'm telling myself, be strong. Your faith, your belief that this can't happen. There ain't no way in the world this can go down.
Right.
Man, they put me in a situation. I found out later on, they sent 50 jurors to the courtroom for me to pick panel from, 3 black. DA dismissed every one of them.
Right.
Left me with an all-white panel. 4 of the jurors that was seated that I couldn't dismiss, because I don't dismiss all I can dismiss. Ain't but 3 blacks in here, so I'm trying to dismiss all I can't. I ain't got but 3. I can't dismiss but 3. So the rest of them I'm stuck with. You see 12, 4 worked the same place. The victim's husband worked. 20-year-old black man in the 70s accused of sexually assaulting a wealthy white woman in front of a white judge, white DA, white victim, 12 white jurors, and they say I had a fair trial. Only thing was missing was a tree in the rope. Because that's what I had. I had a county-coded lynching that was sanctioned by law. You had a fair trial. Gave me 2 life sentences, sent me to the penitentiary. But I'm gonna show you something. In 2005, I found out that these people had 16 pieces of physical evidence that they had collected from the crime scene. Suspect have that they collected from the crime scene.
Yeah.
Fingerprints that they collected from the crime scene. Had it May 11th, 1976. I don't find out about it until 2005.
Right.
30 years later.
Right.
That these, excuse my grammar, supremacists, these capitalists, these bourgeoisies had this evidence.
Right.
But you know, guess what? Yo, he's facing a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So we ain't gonna need that. They threw the evidence away.
Yeah.
He's facing a death sentence.
Right. Right.
Oh, they done already put the jurors in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that it's the chief of police.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Go down the jury's master list of prospective jurors and delete names off the master list that he say documents speak for itself. He knew personally. He knew personally. The jury already seated.
Yeah.
I'm going to the penitentiary. No. We arrested him.
Right.
Got the jurors. We're going to convict him.
Yeah.
We're going to execute him.
Right.
I'd have been another statistic.
I know. Well, and what, we learned was that they not only withheld the evidence from you all, but they withheld it from the prosecution.
Yes. Hold up.
Yeah.
I want to back up.
Okay.
I want to tell you how I met Reverend Willis.
We're on to that.
Yeah. Hey, look. Teresa Newman was with Duke Wrongful Conviction Clinic. I asked her a question because she was telling me about her beliefs, her religion. I feel as though religion played a significant, essential role in my survival. I feel as though religion, whether it be Christianity, or Islam. You find a lot of people that frown on Islam. If I recollect correctly, it was Sarah who told Abraham, I want that girl and that boy out of my house. She was talking about Hagar and Ishmael. Abraham didn't want to do that because Ishmael, my son, too. God tell Abraham, do what Sarah say do. Abraham give Hagar some water and some bread and sent out in the wilderness, the land of Paran. She falls short of water. She praying. See, I'm going to take you from the Bible to the Quran. She praying. God say, go over there, get that water, get some water. This came up between Ishmael's feet. This is the Quran. The Bible dropped Hagar and Ishmael after Abraham gave him that water. When you hear about Ishmael again, Abraham done died. He come back with Isaac to help bury him. God say, do what Sarah say. I'm going to make Ishmael a great nation also. From his descent will arise 12 princesses. From Isaac's descent will arise 12 princesses, 12 tribes. We understand Jacob, the history of Jacob, and when he wrestled with the angel broke his hip, you understand, and he, right now, Orthodox Jews don't eat meat from around the hip area because of the struggle that Jacob had with an angel. Who are you? I am who I am. But what I'm saying is, God said, I'm going to make Ishmael a great nation also. What nation was that? I refuse to believe that Abraham, one of the most righteous men at that time, put his son in the wilderness and forgot about it. The Quran says Abraham and Ishmael established the first Kaaba, which is the first house of prayer. Now Mecca, those 12 princesses that he was talking about, he was talking about a great nation. And that nation is the nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. Nation of Islam in the Bible are two of the most influential and prestigious books ever printed, have the most people influenced by the scriptures. If you believe in the scriptures, I'm gonna say I met Ronnie Willis. God created angels as messengers. How can the pot tell the pot maker how it wants to be designed? So God designed things to his likeness. Angels was created to be messengers of God. Some people say an angel has a free will. So God tell an angel, I need you to go see so-and-so, an angel can tell the God, say, no, I don't want to do that right now, homeboy. You got to go find somebody else. I'm busy right now. If the angel got a free will. So I don't believe angels have a free will. That's what they say. Man is greater than the angel because man has a free will and the angel doesn't. I asked certain people, are angels messengers of God? He said, yes. Then if angels are messengers of God and do what God commanded them to do, then how the hell did Lucifer disobey? Right. Oh, so that was the question that I put at Teresa.
Yeah, you're telling all this to your lawyer.
Yeah. She referred me to Reverend Willis.
That's right.
And me and Reverend Willis, we've been kicking it ever since then.
That's right.
We've been kicking it ever since then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, These people put me in a position where it would do or die.
Yeah.
Live or die. And once you get inside those institutions, and you're in a whole another different world.
That's right.
And you are cut off
Mm-hmm.
from the outside world.
That's right.
The Creator, all praise, and I say that with all sincerity, bless me with people, because like I say, the very first day they locked me up, I've always had support. I've always had people that knew that these people, man, was railroading me, framing me, sending me to the penitentiary on some charges that I feel as though they were pressured in the silence or in the finding somebody to convict them for these charges. The woman description of the perpetrator, listen to this now.
Yeah.
Her initial description, the night of the crime, she told the officers that the perpetrator was a light-skinned, yellow black man. That's why when she was sitting in that courtroom for that hour and a half, she didn't see that light-skinned black man. She only thing that she recognized was my name. It Ronnie Long, yeah, that's him. I've been sitting there for an hour and a half.
Well, even in the courts, right? Didn't she say on the stand that maybe the police officer?
Stop. Like I said, I don't try to say anything that I can't substantiate. Go to the documents. The judge asked the woman.
That's it.
Did the police ask you to pick Ronnie Long? It's right there in black and white.
I know. I've seen that.
They could have.
They could have.
That was our answer. They could have.
Mm-hmm. When was it, Ronnie? So it was 2005 when you found out about all this evidence?
Yeah, 2005.
How did that get discovered?
Hey, my family took my case to Richard Rosen. Mm-hmm. Richard Rosen is he retired now. He was a law professor at UNC School of Law. He ran an actual innocent project there. So my people took my case there, and he assigned my case to two lawyers. One of them named was Donna Bennett, and the other name was Janine Zanin. Janine Zanin right now teaches law at UNC. She's a law professor at UNC right now. And they went to Cabarrus County in 2005 after Professor Rosen gave my case to Donna Bennett. They filed a preservation order to go to Cabarrus County to go through the archive. They wanted all physical and biological evidence from the SBI, the DA's office, the Concord Police Department, and Cabarrus County Memorial Hospital. The preservation order was issued to those 4 agencies to turn over all physical and biological evidence connected with this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what folks don't understand too is just how long, like you're saying, you can wait on the courts, and that can be agonizing in and of itself. I mean, so you've talked a little bit about your faith, Ronnie. I mean, how did faith help sustain you? I mean, I know.
Anybody that follow the scriptures, mm-hmm. And like I say, a lot of people say that this is the way to eternal life. You got two passages that I say that I feel as though, you understand, saying have more influence over people. So what I'm saying is religion, when I was introduced to it, and I didn't learn about Islam until I got inside the institutions. See, I grew up a Baptist, man. I mean, my mama had me and my brothers, man, shine our shoes, wash our clothes, iron our pants on Saturday night. I had to put that old Griffin wax on my shoes, the old Griffin liquid wax on my shoes on Saturday night. I'm talking about when I was 4, 5. I can remember when I was 4, 5, my mom used to make a polish our shoe. And when I got a little older, I had to iron my shirt to have it hanging on the hanger. Saturday night to go to Sunday school, Sunday morning. I didn't love it because I had to stay in church from 9 o'clock to 1. And look, I mean, that's the way I came up. I was raised a Baptist. So when I got inside the institution, I'm introduced to Al-Islam. I don't see nothing wrong with anything that has something to do with directing a person's life. Islam and Christianity are a way of life. If you follow the teachings, then you shouldn't have no problem maneuvering through life. Because they say, God say the 2 greatest commandments. Let thy God with thy heart, thy soul, and thy mind. Do unto others that you had them do unto you. The Quran say you want for yourself what you want for your brother. If you respect people and treat people the way you would like to be treated, then you shouldn't have no problem maneuvering. Inside the institutions, it's a way of life that can guide you because you can sustain a lot of things, you understand, saying that the average mind would be victimized or fall victim to. Yeah. And once you fall victim to the games, and the things that's going on inside those prisons and inside those institutions, then you become institutionalized. Yeah. I've always felt, ain't no way in the world, man, I can be subjected to this. Yeah. For no reason. I know one day I got to rise up above this. I know one day I got to outlive it. I know one day I cannot let these people get away with scandalizing my name and my family name. My belief in my faith and my strong belief that I will one day overcome this. And I will one day, go back and look at the records. You see, I made these statements way before I got out. Right. I will one day walk out of here like I walked in here. That's right. And I held on to that belief. That's right. Yeah, you never ever wavered. Like that's a hallmark of our relationship. It's that you never wavered. It's your faith that God was going to get you out of this. And it's just amazing. Yeah. Sarah, I don't know if you or Kyle have questions from the class that you wanted to ask. I know we're getting to that 1:30 mark.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Cari, and thank you, Ronnie. Yeah, it's just really powerful to hear you bring to speech such a grave injustice. So thank you for taking the time to name it out loud. And for whatever it costs you to name it out loud, I hope that everyone on this call does our due diligence in bringing this story forward and making something with what you've been through. And I want to go to Barbara Marshall, who has a question kind of in that direction. And we're going to start with her because she actually sent hers in yesterday. So we know she was ready and she's in it. So Barbara, if you want to ask your question yourself, we'll kick it to you. I can see you, Barbara, but I think you'll have to unmute. give Barbara one more second. I think part of what she was interested in, Ronnie, was just wondering what you thought people of faith or the church could do in order to either work on behalf of those who are currently doing time, who are wrongfully convicted, or to kind of get in the way of this process to come alongside people who are being wrongfully convicted now. And I see that Barbara's now off her mute, so I'll let her say anything else about that.
You did a good job of sharing the question. The essence of the questions is exactly as you spoke it. How should the church be actively engaged on behalf of the wrongfully incarcerated in the state of North Carolina?
Hey, when I was inside the institution, you have a Christian organizations that's inside, I believe they call them fellowship, Christian fellowship or something like this. You have people, churches they send out invitations to people that don't have no connection to the street. Now, you got a lot of people that's inside those institutions that have been victimized by the system that I feel as though, you understand, saying if they don't have no kind of connection with the streets, no kind of connection with the outside world, then they're like walking dead men. So in order for them to survive inside this, it's good that they do have some kind of connection with the street. In the church, like I said, Christianity and Islam is a way of life. In the church, the meaning and the message that you can give to the people, you can, inside those institutions, you can uplift them to the point of where they're not having any other contact with nobody else in the street. And that contact that you bring them, and that communication line, to be able to more or less sit and talk with a person, you understand, saying, and what you live, the message that you're delivering, you're not delivering no negative message. So the message that you're delivering, you did uplifting him, hopefully, prayerfully, he will go back and deliver the same message that you gave him to somebody else and uplift somebody else. So the church, yes, I say this with all sincerity, can play a major role in educating and reforming, maybe not the institution, but the mind of the individual.
Thank you, Mr. Long. I think the church has a greater responsibility, though, to somehow to be reforming the institution, not just the individual.
Let me say this. How long have knees been on George Floyd's necks? How long have people of color been trying to reform and change? You have got to change the people, the mindset, the heart of the individual, and put them in position to change these institutions and these rules that they have. Because you have people with a satanic mentality. We don't have no compassion for others. That's in no positions now. So you have got to work on the mind and the heart to get these people in no position, because the only way I see reform coming inside the institution in North Carolina, like I told you, ain't no more tobacco and cotton. North Carolina got to find a revenue to make some money. They make their money on mass incarceration. Right now, they are warehousing people, bodies. They should have been shuffled through the system long time ago. They do not advance these people through the system. They hold these people in these positions. Medium, close, minimum. You got a man coming on stage with 5 years. You keep him in brown clothes to 4 years. Then you put him in undergrade. He walked out the fence, dumber than he walked in. You got to reform this mind, man. And then people, the institution don't care nothing about that. They used to enforce the thing we need to make them get a GED. See, they don't even do that no more. They tell you, the taxpayer, that it cost $36,000 to house one prisoner in the state of North Carolina. I was in there for 44 years. The hell of my $36,000. Where I see that? Yes, you're right. True indeed. The institutions need to be reformed, but North Carolina ain't trying to hear that. That's why they came up with the Structured Sentencing Act for stiffer sentences. The whole people in those positions to paint a facade. It's a facade. What you see ain't what you get. They changed the name from the Department of Correction to the Department of Public Safety. They want you to think they got your best interests in mind. We ain't worried about reforming them or correcting them no more. It's not about rehabilitation no more. It's about public safety. That's why they changed the name. But we don't try to school them no more. We're more concerned about protecting you. But it cost $36,000 to house this man now. Dig in your pockets. The heart and the mind of the people that you got to put in positions to reform and educate others. Church, true indeed. Good place to start. Good place to start. Because I feel as though you understand something, like I said, religion is a way of life. And those brothers that's in there now, and I say brother because it's predominantly Black. People of color are all inside the institution. They don't be for those brothers and sisters that educating themselves, those younger brothers and sisters that educating themselves now. If you take a good look inside the institution, then people of color headed right back into slavery. Right back into slavery. Because we're being victimized by the system. And it's something that ain't just started. George Floyd ain't the first. And won't be the last. Black men, ever since they came to the Western Hemisphere, have had white men knee on their neck. And they've been trying to change this. You have got to change the mind. You have got to reform the heart. And all it'll overcome. All those satanic people. Because see, let me say, when God told Lucifer, no, you got to go home, boy. He has some people follow him too. You're going to always have good and bad, right and wrong.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Pray. Pray.
Yeah.
Cari, there's a question for you here about, could you tell us something about what you've learned out of your friendship with Ronnie, and how have you been changed in the process of y'all's relationship?
Well, I wanted to believe at a certain point in my life that everybody who was incarcerated was guilty. And when meeting Ronnie and understanding all of the nuances of this case, it started from the very beginning, as you heard, with even the victim IDing him, all the way through. I couldn't take in like how egregious this whole case was, and that somebody would be this railroaded into being wrongfully convicted. But Ronnie, it was his faith that he never let go of. And even in the worst of situations, what he's talked about with incarceration and what it did to him, even in the worst of situations, he still would say all praise to the Creator. He held on to praise. And I told him with big tears in my eyes that if I was him, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I want to believe that I could, but I just couldn't do that. And so Ronnie's, just his outrageous faith just has absolutely changed my heart, and just his story. Just being, you know, I just listen to Ronnie mostly when I would visit him. And just that story, just how, like I said, how egregious it was. Like it just, I've never heard one like it since. And yet we all know, in fact, I saw in the chats, so we all know that there's a lot more Ronnies that are incarcerated. And that what's sad is that all these other Ronnies don't have an Ashley, they don't have a Jamie Lau, and they need to have some people. He had an amazing support system, and it still took him 44 years, 44 years to get it right.
Thanks, Cari. Ronnie, we're going to wrap up in just a few minutes, so I want to give you the last word. What would you have us to know as we go? Any last word for the group?
Never let anybody. I'm going to say it like this. The younger generation is the up and coming generation, the leaders of tomorrow. Never let anybody tell you what you can't do. You can do anything you want to do. All you got to do is believe in yourself. First, be determined that you can overcome all forms of obstacles. Anything that's set in your way, because number one, we are created in the image of the Creator. We are here to expand and to grow and to move forward. So now the younger generation, believe in yourself. Never let nobody tell you you can't do something. And be strong in your faith. Respect and love are key elements that can take you anywhere in life. I appreciate you having me. Much love.
Love you.
Yeah, Brother Willis. We down for life. We down for life now. You know what I'm saying? Look, I appreciate y'all having me. Look, anytime you want to talk with me, get in touch with my secretary.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me say this about my wife. Let me say this about my wife before I go. She relentless. I'm telling you. Yeah, look. She relentless. She's a good. Listen. She's a good advocate. She's a good advocate. When it come time to have somebody on your team, look, I met her 8 years before I got out now. You see what I'm saying? Hey, so, I mean, she hung in there. She hung in there with me for 8 years, man. Yeah. Look, be strong, believe in yourself. Thank you. I want to thank Duke Wrongful Conviction Clinic for putting me in the position that I'm in now. The grace of God put these people in my life to make this possible. Duke Wrongful Conviction Clinic, the truth.
Amen.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, you all. Have a wonderful time. We're glad you were here.